Hello everyone and welcome to ERONGO Talk. It's Friday, the weather is fantastic and it's weekend. My name is Leandrea Louw and I'll be your host for today's show. Now in our program we have an interview with musicians Vaughn Ahrens and Riaan Smit, which is a bit of both worlds. So as usual I'm going to bring you the latest news, some entertainment news, the weather and tides, as well as the upcoming events. Now today we find ourselves at Daredevil Adventures, and like I always say, let's support local businesses. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
Away masekennis is die chef hierso. Jeffrey Job is ja. Ek geniet ERONGO Talk. Geniet dit saam met my away. Salute.
Now, the latest on the human remains found outside of Walvish Bay is that a person has been taken into questioning. Yesterday, the police announced. Now, they said that going forward with the investigation, the force is going to conduct a forensic investigation to confirm whether or not the remains will match the missing person. That is Shannon Wasserval, who went missing on the 10th of April 2020 in Walvish Bay. Now, arrangements were immediately made for the remains to go to Windhoek, where a detailed post-mortem will be conducted. Now, apart from attempting to establish a cause of death, the autopsy will also be focusing on identifying the remains by extracting DNA, genetic materials. Now, and yesterday, the governor of the ERONGO region also called upon the people of the ERONGO region to stand up and to unite against gender-based violence and any violence perpetrated against our women and children. Now, furthermore, I'm moving on to some entertainment news. Two of Monique English's music videos were recently approved for airing on one of the biggest music channels on the continent, Channel O. Now, the music videos of Red and Think About It by the 2017 Namibian Annual Music Awards Best Female Artist of the Year were released last year. Now, English said that she is delighted about the achievement as it has been difficult for her to get her videos aired on international music channels. Now, she said that she was rejected by Trace Africa. They never provided a reason. So I submitted the videos to Channel O and MTV Base. I didn't get any feedback for months from either of those platforms. But to my surprise, Channel O came back to me and accepted my submissions, said English. Though the music videos were directed by Reggie Films and Cool Cut Productions, respectively. Now, according to the sassy songstress, the quality of the songs and videos turned things in her favor. Now, both videos took about a day to record. Now, Red was released in October as the talented songbird's first single that culminated from her second studio album, also titled Red. Now, Think About It as the second single on the album. It was released in November of the same year. Now, after Nama's success in 2017, the 25-year-old went to win the Best Single award at the 2018 Namas for a hit, Does She Know? Now, English has been an independent artist since and was nominated for 2 Namas this year, namely Best Afro Pop, inclusive of Township Disco for her song Red, and then for Best Female Artist of the Year. Now, the Namas were slated for Swakopmund earlier this year, however, due to the social distance regulations, which only allows 50 people at a venue, the awards had to take place over several weekends and online, with up to 3 categories being awarded per weekend. Now, although English did not scoop the Best Afro Pop Award, she ensured that all those who watched took notice, thanks to an outstanding performance of her track Red. Now, English, who is taking part in the awards as an independent artist, remains optimistic about walking home as the Best Female Artist of the Year, which will be awarded in the next weeks. Now, Monique's English's debut album was released in 2016 and is titled Since 94. Now, the Cancer Association of Namibia on Saturday hosted their first Living Hope online music extravaganza that replaced the annual Hats and Roses Gala breakfast for women due to current COVID-19 regulations. Now, a donation of 70,000 Namibian dollars by Alexander Forbes Financial Services enabled the Cancer Association to host the online event and help sustain the women's health community clinics. Now, the show can be viewed for free on CAN's YouTube channel as well as the Facebook page. Now, CAN thanks all project partners, sponsors, and especially the artists for their unwavering support. Now, usually this time they host the Hats and Roses event, which is usually scheduled for the first Saturday of October in Windhoek, followed by a second event in Swakopmund. Now, they cancelled it earlier this year. Now, according to Chief Executive Rolf Hansa of the Cancer Association, both gala events were were cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, he added that the estimated loss of income for the organization due to cancelling Hats and Roses is approximately 500,000 Namibian dollars. Now, funds raised by the two events is used to sustain the nationwide cervical and breast cancer screening programs of the Cancer Association. Now, he said that we finalized the productions in March with both Namibian and South African artists lined up. But given the current national protocols remaining in place that prevent that event exceeding 50 persons cannot take place. Now, you can definitely go check out that show that was hosted. And as you just heard now, it's hustling and bustling here at Daredevil Adventures. So if you don't have anything to do, come swing by over the weekend. Like I said, it's Friday. The weather is fantastic. So we'll see you after this.
Away Masakenas is die chef hierso. Jeffrey Job is ja. Ek geniet ERONGO TALK. Geniet dit saam met my away. Salute.
So joining us today from Altstadt restaurant in Swakopmund is musician Riaan Smit. Hi Riaan, how are you?
Lekker, how you doing?
I'm good. So Riaan, you have been quite busy in the lockdown. For starters, I think all your ventures started with you moving back home to Namibia. So why did you decide to move back to Namibia?
Well, at the time I was playing a show in Arizona and living in Cayman Islands, and the airport shut down in Cayman Islands, so I couldn't get back from Arizona. So I sent my flight into a new direction, came to Windhoek, and not just because it's the only place I could go to, because it almost was, but at the same time I wanted to come back for quite a while. So Corona kind of kicked it off a bit quicker for me.
And then how does it feel to be back home?
I'm loving it. I'm really enjoying being back with family, friends, my community. I've really missed them. It's really good for my heart to be back here.
Yeah. And then Riaan, you started a company called Tribe One Productions. Could you elaborate a little bit on Tribe One Productions?
So Tribe One Productions is a kind of idea that I've been working on for years, and working in the same kind of development with companies much like it in places like Cayman Islands and South Africa, around the States, is working with agencies in such a way that we do artist development and artist services. So for putting on events, putting on live events, selling tickets for artists, also with the development in studio. We have a studio in town now in Windhoek on Independence Avenue. And we're starting to do workshops there. We're starting to do artist development classes. We're getting the artists around here known so that we can develop a nice roster of people and help them push their careers internationally and locally.
Yeah. So then, aside from artist development, Tribe One is also aiming to create a pre-sales culture in Namibia that is rather non-existent as we speak. So how are you hoping to go about that, and why do you think creating this pre-sales culture is important?
The idea of a pre-sales culture is very important for the event organizers and the artists. If we're putting on an event, we need to know how many people to cater for. If we decide we're going to cater for 1,000 and 100 show up, then we lose a lot of money, and it's not worth the risk of putting on parties or events or whatever they may be. If we we expect 100 people to show up and then 1,000 show up, then we under-catered and we can't give the experience that's worth value. So the idea is to take down the risk for the artists and the event organizers, and for the people, it also creates a sense of demand. The idea is that we know what is worthwhile bringing into a place, and we need that pre-sale culture to say, okay, these artists or these events are successful. We can see it by pre-sales. What really helps us as organizers, besides having the money in the bank up front, it really helps the people to plan. Now, at the end of the day, we can bring in international artists. We can bring in so many artists in this country if they can see a record of that, if they can see a history of it. How we plan to do that is through all the micro events we're doing that are just mostly up to 100 people around here, and a couple of bigger festivals when times open up to that level. Is that there's going to be a massive cost difference between what you can pay at the door. Say if it's 100 Rand online for the ticket, it's going to be 200 to 300 Rand at the door. We want to make it so that people have that idea that they say, we need to buy this up front. Or the artists can also just double their money for those people who show up last minute.
And then, Riaan, as a veteran musician, I could almost say, do you have any advice to young musicians? Do you have any hints for them, any traps you may have fallen in or only just dodged that you would advise them to dodge?
I think every musician needs to be aware that what they're doing is, if you want to make this entire career and make a living out of it, And you have to be humble and you have to be kind, because there's 1% of the 1% of, say 1% of musicians actually make a living. 1% of those are stars. And if you carry on like you're a star before you've even done any kind of legwork, don't believe your own press is one thing to say. Is you got to keep yourself humble, because a good mechanic is a good mechanic because of word of mouth, not just because does a good job. It's the same thing with music. If you do a good job and you're humble and you're kind, then people want to work with you. If you're not a kind person and you carry on with an ego around you, no one's going to want to work with you, no matter how good you are or even how much people you draw.
Yeah. So, aside from humility, are there any characteristics in a working musician that you would advise for them to have? Are there any characteristics that especially Tribe One would look for?
Being very well organized. You have to be able to not just manage a live career, but if you're a teacher, that's also something you need to manage your students. Being creative with your time. It's all about time management. So if you show up late for a gig, they're not booking you again. If you can't manage your time correctly and you can't keep a good calendar, what we're looking for is people who are passionate and looking to work, which means that putting the time to promote their shows, to promote their music. If we record a song with them, we put it out there, we need people to push it, because it's not just us alone going out and pushing whatever artists we have with us. It's up to them as well. So we look for hard-working people.
And then, finally, before I leave you be, how can aspiring artists who are looking to work with Tribe One, how can they get in touch with Tribe One?
They can get in touch with us via Facebook page and via emailing. They can say tribe1bookings@gmail.com. Send us their press releases, friends. Send us any information about them. We want to know about them. We want to know who the artists are here. If they would just get in touch with us and open a conversation and see what they're looking for. If they're looking to release music, we can help them do that. If they're looking to put on shows, we can help them do that as well. And we're there to guide. That's it.
So, that was Riaan Smit. Thank you so much for being with us, Riaan. So, joining us from Desert Tavern in Swakopmund is Mr. Vaughn Ahrens, finally back in town after quite a few months of lockdown. Hi Vaughn, how are you?
Great to be back. I think it feels like a big weight has been lifted from my shoulders being back in my hometown, you know?
Yeah. So, Vaughn, how do you think lockdown and the state of emergency and COVID-19, the whole pandemic, the whole thing affected the music industry and the entertainment and the arts industry?
Well, it's very much still has a chokehold on us, and I think if we're going to give up now, the whole fight would be for nothing. So I think we should all, not just as musicians, as people in the entertainment industry and even in the restaurant and bar industry, if we I think, hold out a bit longer, we should be able to make it out alive. And I think if everyone just supports each other and holds hands through this, well, not figuratively speaking, obviously, because we're not allowed to do that with COVID, I think we can make it.
So local is lekker, support local, especially in this time. If ever you are going to support local, do it now. So Vaughn, you didn't sit idly in the 6 months lockdown. You have an album coming up, I believe. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, we're in the recording phases. We're getting there. We're releasing the first single of the album at the end of October, and the album is set to drop next year. And it's titled Here Lies Vaughn Ahrens. And it's a total U-turn from my old music.
So how is it a U-turn? How is this album different from your first album?
Well, I feel I've really gotten my sound now. I'm not doing everything myself anymore. I'm not, because on all the other work I've done, I've played the drums, I played the bass, did all the production work. This time around, I employed my live band to come into the studio with me and let's write this album together. And I think it's even if I have to say it myself, it's probably one of the best albums I've put out ever. It's only my second one, but it's my third piece of work, but I mean it's the second album. And it's probably the best work I've done so far, and I am very, very excited. I'm like buzzing at the moment just to release the first single already, so I'm quite excited about that.
And then how is it different to work with a band in studio versus just you by yourself?
At first it was a lot of compromise, because obviously if I am the drummer and the bassist, I can do whatever I want, but if we are kind of a team, we have to do something that shows the strength of each member, and I think that really shines through in the album if you hear it.
And then how do you think that the arts industry and the entertainment industry is going to move out of the pandemic, out of the struggle, out of the brunt? What do you think happens from here?
I think from here on out, people are going to just have to be more careful. We're all going to have to keep this thing in mind whenever we book anything in the nearby future. and it's just going to be a mindfulness thing. So I think it's going to change only in that way. I think the gigs are still going to be the gigs. Everyone's still going to come out and have a good time. It's just the organization of it that's going to change a tad bit, yeah.
And then going from here, Vaughn, where are you going? Where are you still hoping to go in your career?
Well, we've got a few tours that were cancelled this year, obviously, which is very disappointing. So hopefully, well, postponed. That's the golden word. Postpone, don't cancel. And we're hoping to still go on those, go to South Africa next year and go back to Europe next year. Corona permits, if and so I'm not losing hope, and I think I would like to implore other musicians not to lose hope. I think if we all stand together, we can fight through this.
Do you have any tips for musicians to not lose hope in this time?
Right, create, do what do the thing that we got us into this in the first place. We can't have gigs with 500 people anymore, but we can definitely write music and we can definitely collaborate. The internet is a wonderful thing. I'm working with people that are sitting in Germany at the moment, and it's just working. Don't sit still and be depressed. I mean, it's easier said than done. I mean, first couple of weeks I was dead, man. I was in bed. I didn't know. I was depressed beyond belief. And also it's okay not to be okay. So being sad is healthy as well, and allow yourself to be sad too.
Okay. Thank you so much for being with us, Vaughn. That was coastal born and bred Vaughn Ahrens.
And now it's time for your upcoming events. Now we will have a social triathlon in Walvish Bay. It's going to take place along the lagoon. Tonight we have the Dolphin School's Matric Farewell in Walvish Bay. But you can check out the MyZone's Facebook page as well as the ERONGO Facebook page on pictures and some videos concerning that farewell. Then tomorrow we will be going live at the Walvish Bay Private High School's Matric Farewell starting at 6 o'clock. There isn't going to be a crowd, so we're encouraging you to please follow it on the ERONGO's Facebook page as well as on the MyZone's Facebook page. So it's going to start at 6, so don't go to the Walvish Bay Private High School. Please follow it online. And then for tomorrow, we have the Southern Sweet Shops opening taking place at the Atrium Lifestyle Center in Swakopmund. Now the Fachwerk Biergarten is also going to host Oktoberfest 2020. It's going to start on Monday the 12th of October, and it's going to be a week long of just festivities starting at 6 o'clock on Monday evening. Now on Saturday there's also going to be a Knobbel competition in Swakopmund starting at 1:30. So if you know about any events happening in your town or here in the region, please let us know at 0811 7040. That's 0811 7040.
The Zela wreck got stranded on 25 August 2008 in the early morning hours near Divala, a popular fishing spot about 14 kilometers south of Henties Bay. The fishing trawler that was sold as scrap metal to an Indian company by Hangana Fishing of Walvis Bay got stranded after it came loose from its towing line while on its way to Bombay, India, shortly after it left Walvis Bay. It seems that they will be able to rescue no more than a few usable items from the stranded ship. The Zela wreck is a beauty to behold, a beauty in the Atlantic Ocean between Henties Bay and Swakopmund. It is a sight to see for tourists. Beautifully placed between nature in the beautiful ERONGO region. In the beautiful ERONGO region of Namibia, which is filled with wide open spaces. In the beautiful ERONGO region of beautiful contrast, the Zela finds itself. The Zela wreck, a beauty to behold.
And now it's time for your weather and tides. With your tides, we had high tide this morning at 25 minutes to 8. Low tide will be at 23 minutes past 1. High tide will be at 5 minutes to 8 this evening. And then low tide will be at tomorrow morning, 2 o'clock. Now, the best fishing time for today is between lunchtime. That is 5 minutes to 2 and 3 minutes to 3. Now for your temperatures, we had sunrise this morning in Walfish Bay at 6:30. Half past 6. Sunset will be at 3 minutes past 7. Now that's more or less the times for the rest for the times of sunrise and sunset for the rest of the towns in the region. Now our maximum temperature for today will be 18 degrees Celsius with a south-southwesterly wind in Walfish Bay, a minimum of 10 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 17 degrees Celsius for tomorrow, and then for Sunday a minimum of 12 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 18 degrees Celsius. For Swakopmund, a maximum temperature of 16 degrees Celsius is expected for today with a southwesterly wind. For tomorrow, a minimum of 11 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 15 degrees Celsius. And then for Sunday, 12 degrees for minimum and 16 degrees will be your maximum. For Henties Bay, maximum temperature for today will be 16 degrees Celsius with a south-southwesterly wind. For tomorrow, a minimum of 10 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 16 degrees Celsius. And then for Sunday, a minimum of 12 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 17 degrees Celsius. Now moving on to Ahrens, maximum for today, 22 degrees Celsius with a west-southwest wind. For tomorrow, a minimum of 7 and a maximum of 23. For Sunday, a minimum of 10 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 25 degrees Celsius. Then for Usakos, a maximum of 29 degrees Celsius with a southerly wind. For tomorrow, a minimum of 7 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 31 degrees Celsius. And then for Sunday, a minimum of 8 degrees Celsius with a maximum of 34 degrees Celsius. For Karibab, maximum for today, 32 degrees Celsius with a west-southwest wind. For tomorrow, a minimum of 8 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 31 degrees Celsius. Then for Sunday, a minimum of 11 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 33 degrees Celsius. For Omaruru, maximum for today will be 32 degrees Celsius with a south-southwesterly wind. For tomorrow, a minimum of 7 and a maximum of 37 degrees Celsius. And then for Sunday, a minimum of 10 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 35 degrees Celsius. For those of us at the coast, Sunday is going to be perfect beach weather. Now that's your weather and tides for today and this weekend. Unfortunately brings us to the end of today's episode of ERONGO Talk, but you can follow us on our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Please go check out our website at www.erongo.com.na. That's www.erongo.com.na. Or let us know what's happening in your town or here in the region. Get in contact with us for advertisement opportunities or just say hi to 0811 7040. That's 0811 7040. Now we've come to the end of our show. If you haven't answered that pop-up question registration now is the time, because you can win $1,000 off on your next accommodation. Now the voucher is redeemable at the Namibian Tourism Expo, which is taking place from the 4th to the 7th of November in Windhoek. Now another thing is happening in November is we're going to have our holiday supplement. So please get in contact with us if you want to see your business being advertised there, or just let us know about the activities happening in December here in our region. So I am going to start my weekend. I hope you enjoy yours. So until next time, bye!
Belei met my mond, en glo met my hart, vol met my siel. Gees en verstand, die jy my kom gered het. Toe ek verdwaal het, jy was nog altyd daar. Gal op jou kruis, saam my die pad, maar ons wat